Yo, so earlier at work, I had this realization that those who are guided through by intrinsic motivation are the ones who are free. And what I mean by that is that a lot of people are often driven by things that are external, extrinsic. We're talking about status, we're talking about money, we're talking about success, validation, etc. A lot of people are driven by extrinsic things, and the man who is driven by something intrinsic, when we're talking about purpose, fulfillment, values, virtues, passion, interest, curiosity, courage, etc. Those intrinsic motivators, the man who is driven by those things is the one who is free of suffering. And why? Because at the moment that you put more value on your intrinsic motivations is the moment that you begin to take more responsibility for your life, and is the moment that you realize that you have created the life that you created up until this point. And because you have created this life and you're not happy, you don't like it, the reason you don't like it is because it was created unconsciously. But the moment you begin to look at yourself being guided by intrinsic motivation, intrinsic factors, is the moment that you start to see, oh, these are things I have control over. You don't have control over what people think of you, but you do have control over what you think. And that is all the control that you need, because the moment that you start thinking about things that matter more than what other people think is the moment that you begin to really dive into worthy thoughts. You put more value on learning philosophy, thinking for yourself, self-actualization than you do about anything else outside of that. So, another reason why intrinsic motivators are so valuable and freeing one from suffering is because the man who has control over himself is a man who has control over his emotions. And the man who has control over his emotions is the man who can live his life without fear. So much of suffering is caused because of fear. Fear of something that's coming. Fear of being hurt. Fear of not being able to pay the bills. But with this attention towards oneself, inner awareness, etc., it allows you to see that the majority of the things that have caused you to fear, to live in fear, have been illusory. Most of the things that you fear are a lie. Most of the things that you fear are made up in your head. And most of the time, there's no point in fearing them because you can't do anything about it in the moment. You know, I'm anxious because I feel like I might lose my job. Well, what are you going to do about it? What can we do right now? What is it that I can do right now that will help me out? And there's nothing, then you let it go. There's no point in worrying. Anyways, the point I really wanted to push is that I have gotten to a place where I don't, most of my the things that I do in my life are driven by my soul. You know, like I want to do things with love. I want to do things that I know, me looking back 100 years or 10 years, etc., looking back on my life, I want to be able to see, I was like, wow, you were really putting in work, and it was meaningful work. And it's work that didn't require anybody to applaud me, didn't require anybody to validate me. It was work that I knew was meant to exist. And whether the world saw it or not, it didn't matter, because it was work that you were putting out, and you were making sure that it was landing in the places that you needed to land, that they needed to land in, which is just outside for the world to see. So, really got me thinking, like, wow, how did I get to this place? I feel like I've gotten to this place where I really feel connected to myself. I don't feel so chained by the future or by external events. And then I also compared that to how I often see people being super reactive. And if you find yourself, being reactive, or if you find yourself just wanting a better life, look towards intrinsic motivators and begin to gain a greater sense of control. It's about the internal locus of control, which is feeling that you have more control over your inner state of being. I said that. Yeah, that's all I wanted to share, man. Thank you for tuning in. Stay lucid. Peace.